you have been reacting to the world. And in fact, you can choose now how to respond to the world when you realize I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions, I'm not the things that I, experience on a day-to-day basis. They just come and go like clouds passing by. So I get a lot of questions from you guys. It could be through Twitter, it could be through YouTube, but multiple questions every single day, to a point where it's very, very difficult for me to answer to everybody. And I always feel really guilty about it, because some of you guys pour your heart out to me, and I wanted to take the time to address a few that I've got here kind of pinned on my phone. And these are the really difficult ones. I'm talking of, you're at the bottom of the barrel, everything's fucked up in your life. What the fuck do I do? So I'm really going to be challenging myself with how to address these. The answer to a lot of these is going to be the same for all of you. And it's going to be difficult for a lot of you to accept, but it is the thing that you need to do in context of your situation. So I'm just going to go through like a few here so you can get a general understanding of where these people are coming from. So we've got this one guy here, and I'll keep you anonymous. Hi man, I'm 28 years old. I've been watching porn since I was 11 years old. Is it too late for me to pull out? I fucked up everything. No girlfriend, no college, no degree. I'm only thinking about suicide. Porn has destroyed my soul. So like I mentioned, bottom of the barrel kind of stuff, really dark places here. We've got another guy. I need help. I was born in the ditches. I'm trying to break out the cycle. Everything is ready for me to do that, but I lack discipline to hammer the nail into the coffin. How do I grow mentally? And then last but not least, we've got, I'm a complete mess. I'm going to have to do another year of university. I'm watching all my friends graduate. Two girls I like most likely don't feel the same way about me. One is currently on a date with another guy, and the other hasn't responded to my text saying that I adore her. I just feel absolutely defeated. I'm broke. Nothing going on in my life. I need advice. Shit, Joseph. So you got a lot to think about here. Now, given that most of these questions are very, very similar, I'm going to take a kind of general approach here, and hopefully you can kind of tailor this to your specific situation. If you resonate with a lot of what these guys are saying, then this video is for you. So, what do you do when you're out of luck, broke, down in the ditches, in the darkest points of your life? Well, typically I found in my experience, and many of my clients' experiences, those are the moments that you can kind of get the upswing on. So I'll give you a little bit of context about my darkest moment. When I was 22, I was spiked by my dealer. I was very addicted to weed. I was smoking about a Q of marijuana a week. And one day my dealer gave me spice, which is a synthetic form of cannabis, which led to what my mental health doctors called a first psychotic episode. I went, I only get flashes of insight, but I just went completely berserk, pretty much. I think I was found in my university library, stark bollock naked, beating my chest, screaming out profanities until the police came and arrested me for indecent exposure. And then I proceeded to assault all of my doctors in the mental health setting. And I found myself finally coming lucid, held in a mental health facility, better known as being sectioned in the UK here, for 28 days with people with, similar psychosis, schizophrenic, bipolar disorder, and I was sharing meals with these kind of people. So I was in a pretty dark place myself. But my parents were allowed to visit me. My mother gave me a certain book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I speak about this book a lot, and it's my crowning jewel in my possession. And she even wrote me something really, really cute when I was in the psychotic ward. Please read me. Lots of love, Mum. And this is essentially the key to those moments when you're in those dark places. If you find yourself in a similar position to myself, or some of the gentlemen that have kindly shared their stories, the first thing and the only thing you can do is get present. What the fuck does that mean, get present? It sounds very new agey and esoteric. Getting present just means coming to realize that the only real thing is the moment that is in front of you now. Don't find yourself in the miasma of past events that have no bearing on your moment right now. And don't be stuck up in the air in the future about events that have not yet come to unfold themselves beneath your feet. The only thing that you can really worry about is where you are right in this moment. And this is the stepping stones to spirituality. And when you have this own unique realization, if it hasn't happened to you yet, it is coming, is when you start to frequently disidentify from the thoughts that you're experiencing and the emotions you're experiencing. A lot of you send me messages like this saying, you're completely depressed, anxious, stressed, and there's a lot of over-identifications with emotions that are arising in the context of your particular circumstances, but you're failing to realize that you can choose to identify with those emotions or disidentify with those emotions. Makes me think of a really good lecture by Ram Dass called Becoming Nobody. It's an audio book you can buy on Audible. No affiliate, just a great audio book. And there's a point in his particular lecture where he's poking a little bit of fun of these people who are saying, I'm completely depressed. I don't know what to do. I'm just completely, down on my luck, depressed. There's no part of me that isn't depressed. And Ram Dass is saying, it's interesting. You're completely depressed? Yes, I'm completely depressed. He goes, are you noticing your depression? You go, yes, I'm noticing that I'm just completely depressed. He goes, is the noticer of your depression depressed? And then there's that kind of, no, the noticer is just noticing that I'm depressed. So the noticer isn't depressed. And then you start to come to a realization that there is what you think is you, completely depressed, and this kind of metacognition or witnessing of said depression. And you come to realize, well, if I can notice my depression and I can disidentify from my emotion, then there's a part of me that still has the freedom and energy to make the present moment whatever I want it to be. It gives you back control, gives you back energy, puts you back into the driver's seat instead of being a passenger of depression, anxiety, stress, and the things that we're talking about. And this book starts to explain a little bit of what I'm trying to convey here. And then you're starting to ask the bigger questions about what you are. If you're not your emotions and you're not your thoughts, then who are you? And we can go through some little examples now about your thoughts. You see, people have come to the understanding somehow that they are their thoughts, when in fact, you can't be all of your thoughts. I mean, people have outrageous thoughts. People have thoughts about pushing people, to off subway platforms or, killing their boss, but they don't act upon it. They don't become their thoughts. They're just like clouds. They're nebulous. They're not tangibly based in this reality. They just come and they go. And then you come to the realization, well, no, I'm not my thoughts. And then you ask yourself the question, well, I must be my emotions then. I must be what I'm feeling in the present moment. And then you can take another example of a man who's been married for 30 years to his wife. He's going along the streets one day and he comes across another beautiful woman and he experiences emotions of lust, of desire, of wanting, of longing. But he doesn't act upon them. Well, the best of us don't act upon them. We don't become desire. We don't become lust. We just observe it. And that is the key introduction into spirituality, is that if you go through these examples or your own previous experiences of this, is that you're not your thoughts and you're not your emotions. So what the fuck are you if you're not your thoughts and you're not your emotions? You're the observer of your thoughts and emotions. So what is this observer? And this has many different names that we've spoken about previously. It can be known in more, let's say, Western traditions as your soul, or in the Hindu tradition as the Atman, or for the neo-Jungists among you, the self. What you really are is the self, the witness of the phenomena happening in front of you. And this is a very powerful position to be in, because you then realize you have been reacting to the world, and in fact you can choose now how to respond to the world when you realize I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions, I'm not the things that I experience on a day-to-day basis. They just come and go like clouds passing by. I can choose to identify with them. I can choose to become my angry thoughts or become my angry emotions. And this is an extremely powerful position to be in if you're, again, down in your luck, bottom of the barrel, is that you now have jurisdiction on how to respond to the world. And there's that old adage that life is 90% how you respond and react to it. Life is just happening all around you. You can exert a certain amount of will upon it, but it's how you respond to some of these moments. Like our friend here who's down on his luck in regards to the women that he's dating. One of them's dating a friend he knows, and one of them just hasn't responded to his text. But how do you react to that particular phenomenon unfolding upon you? Do you become anger? Do you become jealousy? Do you become guilt? Do you become shame? Do you identify with those emotions, or do you just watch them go? Move on. What do you have control over? And this might be difficult for people to accept, but the most valuable thing that you can do is, first of all, get that insight into knowing that you're not these things. And then it's to practice that insight. And you can only practice that insight through self-reflective practices, self-reflective exercises. Meditation is the greatest austerity there is, because you're exercising your ability to become the witness. If you're a car, the analogy you can kind of give yourself is your body is a car, is the vehicle that you're driving through this world, and your brain, your thoughts is a navigation system. Then you're not your navigation system and you're not your car. You're the person driving the car and using the navigation system. You have in your possession a mind and a body, but you're not your mind and you're not your body. You have these things to use, and they can end up driving you and using you instead of you having two hands firmly on the wheel. How are you responding to the journey you're going on? This is a very, very powerful position to be in. And it's all about acknowledging that the only thing that's real is now. What can you do now? How can you respond now? And it blows open your mind into other things about life that you thought you knew, but you really didn't. And this is just the beginning. This is where things get exciting. Because once you realize that you have that power to respond to the world, and maybe you're exercising and flexing that muscle to be able to disidentify with your thoughts and emotions, you sit more frequently in the seat of the witness through meditation, and you're exercising that ability to just see them for what they are, a car and a navigation system, a body and a mind, and you can sit separately from these things and just enjoy the ride, but not grip onto them too tightly. You'll start to find comedy in the situations where people take them so seriously. Like if somebody insults your shoes at work and you feel anger, shame, jealousy start to bubble up inside of you. And then you sit in the seat of the witness and you go, that's funny. It's funny how that comment there made me experience those particular emotions and thoughts. And how before I would have become anger, rage, jealousy. Maybe I would have lashed out and got myself into trouble. But now I can just laugh because it's so funny how you've been previously conditioning your body and your mind to react by such an external event. And this is where you start building reality for yourself. This is how you start getting out of those situations, by just not taking it seriously. And then you start to carve your own path. This is where the magic happens. And hopefully I'm communicating this effectively, and you're starting to tie together some of these pieces of information to your own unique experiences. Because once you get it, life is yours to design. This life is yours to respond to. So gents, I'm gonna end my kind of little lecture here. I hope it was valuable. I hope, if you are experiencing some of those difficult questions, you read this book. I really think it's a staple in any man's evolution. If you don't reading, it's a fairly easy read. Eckhart Tolle is a beautiful writer. Makes things very concise and very palatable. It's one of those books you have to experience as well. It's not enough to just intellectually read it, but there's kind of like pauses throughout the book. Like here, you can kind of see this little symbol where you take time to pause and actually meditate on what he said. And you'll start to feel yourself separate from, what you're thinking and feeling about the book, and coming back to presence, now, the moment that only exists in this time. And it's a surreal experience. So I'll say no more, gentlemen. If you subscribe to anything of which I've said here, subscribe to me, and I'll talk to you again very, very soon. Take care.